this tip is the key to really understanding your social anxiety and to really improving your social anxiety. It's the hardest, but it is definitely the underlying reason behind social anxiety. So hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I improved my social anxiety, and I just want to preface this by saying that I haven't truly fully overcome my social anxiety, and I think it's something that will always be a part of me. It's kind of something that I have learned to work with, and I've developed skills that have helped me to manage my social anxiety, but it is always something that is with me, and I've just kind of learned to accept that and to work with it in skillful ways. And so I'm just going to share some tips that I've used to manage my social anxiety and to just appear more confident and to feel more confident in social situations. So I have always had really horrible social anxiety, and I would be the kid in the classroom who would just always sit there and be too afraid to raise my hand and answer a question because I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing and people laughing at me or making fun of me. And so I just usually spent most of my time by myself, and yeah, I'm definitely an introvert at heart, and I'm still very much an introvert. But social anxiety does go beyond introversion, so rather than just wanting to be alone and choosing to be alone, social anxiety is more debilitating than that, and you actually actively fear being with other people, and you try to avoid it as much as possible. So it's less of a active choice and more of a choice driven out of fear. So one of the very first things that I did to tackle my social anxiety was in 9th grade, and I joined a science research class. And so this was a class that I was terrified to take, and the reason that I was so afraid to take this class was because you had to do a presentation. You had to do multiple presentations throughout the year about your project, and at the end of the year you basically went to a few different science fairs and you spoke in front of judges and in front of your peers and described your scientific project and results. And I did not want to be a part of that, but in 9th grade I just did it because I was really close with the teacher, and she encouraged me to go ahead and do it. And so just putting myself out there and exposing myself to instances where I would have to present more definitely was a first step in the right direction. And when I presented, I still shook and died, but I actually continued with science research for 3 years, and it was a decision that I really do not regret at all. I am really proud of myself for doing it because I really enjoyed that class, and I enjoyed conducting my own research, and it was something that I was passionate about, and so I allowed my passion to dictate my decision rather than my fear. Because I ended up presenting a few times throughout each year, I became more and more comfortable with the idea of presenting my research. My takeaway advice from this story is to allow your passion to dictate your decisions, and to not let fear override those passions. Just follow what it is you want to do, and even if that instance requires you to step out of your comfort zone, to take that as an opportunity to do so, and to not let fear prevent you from doing something that you really want to do. Just put yourself out there, and it may help you to actually overcome some of the aspects of that fear. The second thing that I really did in high school, which might sound a little lame, but I actually developed kind of a point system. And so I said that every time I raise my hand in class and answer a question, I will get X amount of points. If it's a one word or a one phrase answer, and then if I contribute something a little bit more meaningful, like a question or a opinion in a discussion, I'll give myself more points. At the end of the month, if I had earned a certain amount of points, I would buy myself a little treat or allow myself to get some sort of a prize. And this point system really just motivated me to kind of put myself out there and start raising my hand more. What I did notice though was that I was raising my hand only in like certain classes, like math class. I was a lot more confident to raise my hand in rather than in a class where you were dealing more with like opinions, like English. And so I'd kind of adjust the points so that I would get like more points in this class, or I would like change the rules. So I had to do like raise my hand in one class, raise my hand once in each class every day. But yeah, so just setting like these kind of elementary rules and then sticking to them was a way that I kind of became more comfortable speaking in class. And like my takeaway here is to kind of gamify the experience. So if you are really afraid to speak in class, or if it's something else that you're really afraid of doing, like starting conversations with strangers, maybe make a point system, or if you do something like a presentation, reward yourself afterwards. I would do that too. I would reward myself after a presentation. Yeah, just find ways to motivate yourself and to create like physical rewards for doing these things. This also made me way more comfortable with getting things wrong or with sounding silly. I realized that even if I did say something like totally weird, no one really laughed at me, and if they did laugh at me, like they probably forgot in 5 seconds that I said something stupid, and they definitely forgot by the next week. So it kind of made me more comfortable with speaking in front of a group of people and getting things wrong and realizing that like I wasn't going to die because I said the wrong thing. And I think it also enhanced the way people saw me, because people saw that I was willing to contribute and willing to put myself out there even if I wasn't sure of the answer, and they weren't doing that, and so it made me appear more confident. Yeah, I think it just made them even feel a little bit envious that I had the confidence to do that, even though inside I was still struggling, but it was more of the fact that I just pushed myself to do it and created a system that would motivate me to do it. The more that you do something, the more comfortable that you will become with it. Like the more that you push yourself outside of that little comfort zone that you put yourself inside of, the more that you'll expand that comfort zone. And the easier it will be to challenge yourself and to do the things that once scared you. You can also create like little challenges at the beginning of the day. So you can say, all right, today I'm going to smile at 3 people, or today I am going to compliment someone, or I'm going to say hi to 2 people today. Something like that, and just kind of interspersing those throughout the week. And yeah, again, just the more that you do something, the more comfortable you will get doing it. I don't do this as often, but sometimes I will listen to like podcasts or read books about public speaking and social tips and motivation and that kind of thing. And I'm able to take some of what I've learned and like integrate it into my daily life and the way that I think. A podcast that I really recommend is Think Fast, Talk Smart. And like I said, I don't listen to these things very often, but this one is pretty good. It is by a Stanford professor on like public speaking, and so he knows his stuff. He just kind of talks about tips to increase your confidence with public speaking, increase your skills in public speaking, and increase engagement. And just communication tips and things like that. So I really recommend it. So I think that this tip is the key to really understanding your social anxiety and to really improving your social anxiety. It's the hardest, but it is definitely the underlying reason behind social anxiety. At least I believe so. And it is developing a greater sense of self-comfort and self-confidence, and being comfortable with who you are. Like oftentimes our social anxiety is driven by the fear of what people will think of us. And I think that the more that we lean into the fact that we're comfortable with ourselves and you know that we love ourselves regardless, kind of makes that irrelevant. And like the more confident that we are in ourselves, the less that we care about what other people will think about us, and the more likely we are to just put ourselves out there. Like even if other people judge us, it doesn't really affect how we see ourselves. And having that self-confidence makes us have less fear about what other people might think about us. I mean, it's easy to just say this, but it's hard to actually cultivate this. So here are just kind of like a few tips that I have used to cultivate more like self-acceptance and comfort with who I am. And before I do give these tips, I just want to say that comfort with who we are is not necessarily the same as like self-love or self-kindness, but it is the first step. And so if you can just cultivate ways to be more comfortable with yourself, you're going to see, I think, a lot of improvements in your social anxiety, because it's what I've found. And then over time, you can kind of develop more kindness towards yourself and perhaps self-love, which is the end goal. So some things that I use to increase like my confidence is exercise. So seeing my body do new things and improve in strength makes me really confident, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. Like being physically active just makes you feel better. It makes you feel more able to take on the world. Even if you can take like 15 minutes every day to just do something for your body physically, whether that is yoga or Pilates or running, walking outside, weight training like me, dancing, like whatever it is, doing something that will increase your endorphins and just get you moving. Because if you just sit there all day, like it does take a toll on your mental health. And so just seeing your body improve day to day, performance wise, well, I'm talking about performance, so whether it's increasing the amount of reps you can do on your deadlift or running at a pace a minute faster than you could have when you first started. Like these are all things that you can actually measure and things that give you confidence in your abilities. I also practice gratitude journaling at the end of every day. So I have a little bookmark of a Christmas gingerbread man, but if you ignore that, I have a gratitude journal, and with inside it, oh, gingerbread man, I basically will write out every single day at the end of the day something that I'm proud of, something that I'm grateful for that day, something that I'm grateful for in my life in general, and something that made me feel good. And so I just bullet full sentences, those four things, and I do that every night. It allows me to reflect on the things that I'm proud of myself for and the things that I'm grateful for, and focuses on the good at the end of the day rather than like wallowing in the things that I might not have been so good at. And it also helps me to kind of take stock in the things that make me feel good and that I'm proud of myself for, and so that I can cultivate more of like those things in my life. I do journal sometimes, not very often, but I will say that journaling definitely helped me to look at the underlying reasons for some of my anxiety and the underlying reasons for some of the ways that I did what I did and thought the way that I thought. And so if you have time, I definitely recommend like writing out your thought patterns and kind of exploring those and just seeing where it takes you, you know. You don't have to look at any prompts, although that can definitely help you. But just writing out what you feel and exploring that. And I find that it's way easier to like write things down than speak about it. So if that's you, then I also recommend that you try journaling as well. I've also meditated, and I highly, highly recommend trying meditation. You're not going to see like results right away. You know, it depends what you define results as. But meditation is more of something that just allows you to be a little bit more mindful throughout the day. And I've been meditating for about a year and a half straight, which I'm really proud of myself for. But I find 15 minutes in the morning to just sit and do a meditation. And I use the Headspace app, which I don't know if will be able to show up, but I do pay for the annual subscription to Headspace, and I really highly recommend that you use it. So they have the meditation tab, and within the meditation tab they have courses and singles. So some of the courses they have are like acceptance, balance, appreciation, fear of the future, handling sadness, happiness, kindness, letting go of stress, managing anxiety, patience, that kind of stuff. And what I'll do is I'll go through a course that I particularly like, one that particularly speaks to me, and I will complete the course once, and I'll come back to it probably another time. And the second time that I do the course, I take notes on it, so some of the tips that they give and the actual exercise. Just so I like physically have the notes in case I ever want to revisit it. So I do all the courses twice, and I highly recommend that you give it a shot because some of the tips that they give are really great. Like, they allow me to just be aware of the thoughts that I'm having and to just kind of take a step back from those thoughts and evaluate them without necessarily judgment. It allows you to kind of see your thoughts and to maybe go a little bit deeper, like, why am I actually afraid of this? Why am I actually experiencing this emotion? And just continue kind of asking why. Like, getting to seeing your thoughts and then getting to the root cause of those thoughts. It also just kind of helps with your preconceptions about certain situations. So I think there's this idea that when we feel stress, it's naturally debilitating and it is something that we can't really overcome and we need to get away from this thing as fast as possible. But allowing you to see those thoughts and to change your perception of them as maybe a challenge that can be overcome and preparation for something that can enhance your performance, is definitely something that meditation can help with. And so I highly recommend giving it a shot. Another tip that has really helped me is to develop a growth mindset. And this kind of goes along with the idea of preconceptions, but just developing the mindset that I can become more confident and I can speak to this person and not die, and that I can become like a more confident public speaker. These are all things that have really helped me, and instead of feeling like, oh my god, I can never do this, or I'm a horrible public speaker, or I can't talk to people, which are still thoughts that go through my head, it's just overall allowed me to kind of challenge those thoughts and say, like, why can't I become more confident? Why can't I become a more, like, confident public speaker? You know, just remember that you can be a positive influence on other people and that you can be confident in who you are. And, you know, these are things that take time, but they are not impossible, because most people do experience these kinds of emotions and you're not alone. And yeah, it all comes down to, like, coping strategies and management of your thoughts. Recognition of your thoughts, but at the end of the day, like, you can become more confident. I do have some more tips, but I think that this video has been going on long enough. So if you like these tips, please be sure to give the video a like. If you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe and let me know. I do have some more tips that I didn't share, so I'd be happy to make another video talking about those tips or talking about something that I already talked about more in depth if you'd like to know maybe how I meditate or my experience with meditation, how I journal, more about my gratitude practice, or how I push myself to do things. I don't know. Whatever it is that you want to know, please leave a comment below and I will make a video about that thing. But yeah, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video.